Now that we've installed panel on both sides of the valley, we have to think about closing off the ridge lines. On the right-hand side, we have an open ridge, so we'll be installing a ventilated ridge. And on this side, the ridge is closed. The installation of the ridge cap is the same as the hip cap. We use a Z-trim, making sure to have tape seal underneath the Z-trim and between the ridge cap and the top of the Z. So you would cut Z-trims for the top of your panels. You would use your ridge cap to mark the ribs so that you know where to place the Z-trims. Once the Z-trim has been fastened to the roof panel, you'll position your ridge cap and fasten it to the Z-trim using pop rivets. If you want to finish the ridge cap at the gable, you just let it overhang by about an inch, make your marks, and bend it down. It'll make for a nice clean look, and it'll ensure that water doesn't get in between the top of the gable trim and the underside of the ridge cap.
All right, so now we're going to start to tackle the vented ridge in this application for SL-16. Now, venting a ridge is very important for any kind of roof, really. And there's a lot of things to think about in this. So Dave, what can you tell us a little more specifically about venting a ridge?
Well, every building is different, and every house, every building has to be evaluated based on the construction and what's taken place inside the roof cavity, what kind of insulation there is. In general terms, what's very important to note, and there's a lot of confusion about venting, soffit and ridge versus gable venting. Okay. So one important note would be to make sure that you're using either a ridge vent in combination with open soffits, or you're using gable venting, but that you're not combining the two. Okay. If you're combining the two, cross airflow cancels each other out, and you wind up with a much less effective venting of your roof cavity. In this particular installation, we have open soffits, so we're going to go ahead and open the ridge line so that we can install our panel and then the profile vent material.
Okay.
Okay?
Sounds good.
Today, we're going to make an opening 2 inches on either side of the ridge. I've made a pencil mark 2 inches down here, another one here. I'm going to snap a chalk line, and that's going to serve as my cut. Now we have a chalk line 2 inches from the center of the ridge, and I'm going to go ahead and cut this using a circular saw so that we have our opening to make sure that the ridge is vented in combination with the soffit vents. So a quick tip before we start cutting, you want to set the depth of your blade so that you're really only cutting through the decking of the wood. In this case, we have 3/4 inch plywood, so I'm going to set the depth of the blade to give or take an inch or 3/4 of an inch. This ensures that I don't cut through trusses. As you get to a gable, or in this case a sidewall, you'll want to stop 1 or 2 feet short with your cuts. So in this case, I'm going to stop just about here with my cuts. So now we've installed the panels and we're ready to deal with a vented ridge cap. As you can see, we've made a cut 2 inches on either side of the center line of the ridge, and we now have to install a ridge cap with the vented ridge material. So here in my hand I have ABC vented ridge material. It's been die cut to fit the SL-16 panel. I'm going to go up and we're going to install it using a clip system and tape seal on the underside. The first thing that we want to do is make our marks so that we know where to position the profile vent. So what I'm going to do is put the ridge cap in place, and I'm going to mark the tops of the ribs. So we're going to line it up with the ridge line. I'm going to take my pencil and I'm going to make a mark on my ribs. And once I remove the cap, I know that I need to line up the profile vent with the marks that I've just made. The profile vent system consists of the vented material and the clips. And the first thing that we have to do is install 2 clips per SL-16 panel and then thread the profile vent through the clips. And the way that the clips are installed is we have our mark here on the rib, so we know where the ridge cap ends, and we want to make sure that the profile vent is a good 1 inch behind that line. So I'm going to position my clip right about there, and I'm going to screw in through the pilot hole at the top of the clip. So the clip is in place. I'm going to put the first screw through. And now we have an installed clip, and the way it's designed is you just lift the clip up so that we can put the profile vent in. I'm going to install the second clip so that we can thread the profile vent material through it and fasten it to the roof deck. Now that I have the two clips installed, as you can see here on the roof deck, I've bent them both up so I can thread the material through. We're going to go ahead and install it. Bring the two clips down. And all that's left to do is put a screw through the back of each one to hold it down. That's one. And now I'm going to install the fastener at the back of the clip, and you can see that there's a pre-drilled hole to make life a lot easier. And there we go. So that's the installation of two clips with the profile vent held securely in place. So now that we have the profile vent installed, we've used two clips per SL-16 panel. The next thing to do is put the ridge cap in place and fasten it to each of these clips. So that's what we're going to do now. So I'm going to position the ridge cap, making sure that it's aligned with the center of the ridge. And the profile vent, we've kept it back from the line because we don't want it visible to the naked eye when people are looking up at the ridge line. So make sure that it's back at least an inch, and it can even go back 1.5 inches to 2 inches. Now that the ridge cap is in place, I'm going to go ahead and fasten it to the clips using stitch screws. So I've secured the ridge cap to the clip using a stitch screw, and I'm going to do that the whole length of the ridge, and then the ridge cap will be securely fastened to the roof.
We hope that what you've seen here will give you the confidence and the information that you need to make your next project a success. And you know, Dave, I really want to thank you for coming. This has been great. Your expertise, your experience, all the projects you've worked on, that's been a real asset to this project.
Well, I appreciate you guys having me, Jonathan. It's been a real pleasure.